Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Anurekha Chariwag, Assistant Professor, Department of Sociology, Savitribai Phule, Pune University. I am coordinating the paper on Sociology of India. Today the module that we are going to discuss is Region and Regionalism, Challenges to National Integration. This module has been written by Sumati Unkule, Research Scholar, Department of Sociology, Savitribai Phule, Pune University. In this module, we will study the concept of region and regionalism in India. We will also explore history and the causes of regionalism. And lastly, we will also analyze the concept of regionalism through the study of Northeast India objectives to understand the concept of region and regionalism. Second, to understand national integration in the context of India. Third, to study the causes of the rise of regionalism in India. Introduction. India is a country marked by huge diversity in terms of geography, culture, caste, class, language, religion, region, art, food, etc. With this remarkable diversity comes a challenge to keep it intact and integrated. Indian history, despite its belief in unity in diversity, has shown several traces of conflict and clashes over religious, cultural, linguistic and regional differences. State response to such conflicts has had the tendency to be knee-jerk. While this has helped to temporarily cool tempers, it has not offered long-term solutions that have kept in mind the diverse fabric of the Indian nation or the issues that have been raised by conflicting groups that have mobilized themselves around these issues time and again. Communities, especially those that perceive themselves to be marginalized and ignored, feel isolated from government policies that they consider to be unfair to them and tailor-made for the national or regional elites. This leads to the genesis of demands for rights, adequate expression, identity recognition and integration within the national economy. These socio-cultural and economic differences and issues related to identity recognition that have come up therein ever since India attained independence have led to several uprisings, ranging from civil protest to demands for secession. All of these fall under the broad category called regionalism. They are all not the same type of regional movements. Some are for the recognition of identity, some to undo decades of economic neglect and some to secede from the Indian Federation. India has witnessed all of these, including movements for better economic package for a region or the preservation of culture and language or a separate state, which have been means by which communities have expressed their demands to the state, argues Vinod. In this module, we will study the concept of region and regionalism in India. We will study the history and the causes of regionalism, and lastly, we will study the concept of regionalism through the case study of Northeast region in India. What is a region? A region is a geographical area that has common geographical features like soil, vegetation, agriculture, natural resources, etc. But because of these common geographical features, the inhabitants have a common culture, economic and social life. As a result, they develop a sense of we-feeling among themselves as they share common life conditions. The Penguin Dictionary of Geography defines a region as an area of the Earth's surface with one or more features or characteristics, which give a measure of unity and make it differ from the area surrounding it. Lundberg defines region as an area within which the people and the different constituent communities are conspicuously more interdependent than they are with other people of other areas. A region is a nucleus of social aggregation for a variety of purposes. A particular territory is set apart over a period of time when different variables operate in different degrees. These variables may be geography, topography, religion, language, usages and customs, socio-economic and political stages of development, common historical traditions and experiences, a common way of living, and more than anything else, a widely prevalent sentiment of togetherness, argues Akhtar. However, a region is not a static concept. It is always in process. According to Kumar, region is not merely a set of some topographical forms such as mountains, rivers, jungles and so on, but a total space which takes specific forms through interactions of human societies in the course of human history. Therefore, the meaning of region is constantly altered. Forrester defines a region as a smaller area within a region or a nation which for economic, historical and social reasons is aware of possessing a distinct identity. A specific geographical area keeps changing with human activities in that region, like mining, industrialization, migration, construction, etc. Thus, human beings give specific material forms for a region by acting upon its natural surroundings. Hence, the region is developed out of a dialectical relation between nature and human beings. Therefore, to understand any region, it is necessary to understand the processes of human interactions as well as its natural specificities. The region is integrated by institutions like the state. The state determines a specific role for a region, and hence the role of the state is very crucial, argues Kumar. Regionalism. The term regionalism has various connotations. At the international level, regionalism refers to transnational cooperation to achieve a common goal or to resolve a shared problem, or it refers to a group of countries such as Western Europe, the Western Balkans or Southeast Asia that are linked by geography, history or economic features. Used in this sense, regionalism refers to attempts to reinforce the links between these countries. Today, the foremost example of such an attempt is the European Union, argues Bever. In the Indian context, the term regionalism refers to the ism which evokes pride in the inhabitants for the region they belong to, when the we feeling and loyalty of the people of a region exceeds the feeling for the nation, that is regionalism. Thus, it is a regional loyalty in place of national loyalty. At the core of regionalism is a profound sense of identity, which is real as dear to a people than the feeling of identity with a state or a nation or a religious group, or for that matter a linguistic group. There are cultural realities and one cannot just wish them away, argues Maheshwari. Regionalism is thus a process in which sub-state actors become increasingly powerful and independent of the state. Power devolves from the central state to regional governments within it. According to Bhattacharya, regionalism has possibly remained the most compelling force in Indian politics after independence. Regionalism largely has two connotations. In the negative sense, it implies excessive attachment to one's region over the state. In the positive sense, it is a political attribute associated with people's love for the region, culture, language. In India, the term regionalism largely has a negative connotation. Such feelings develop among the people due to the feeling, real or created, of continuous neglect by the government, which has led to uneven development among the regions. The existence of a region does not per se give rise to regionalism. It is a nexus between the people and the socio-economic and political environment which gives rise to regionalism. The degree of regionalism of a particular area can increase or decrease depending upon regional dynamics, in which global as well as national and local forces of course have an impact, argues Majumdar. Regionalism in Indian politics is treated by nationalist leaders as a very serious threat to the progress, peace and unity of the country. It has generally been regarded as something that is anti-national, anti-system, anti-federal and against the basic interest of a well-integrated and well-developed polity, argues Reddy. Studies on regionalism, literature review. Certain studies view political parties as catalyst of regional consciousness. Hetcher argues that regionalism is the outcome of a real or perceived sense of internal colonialism. The essence of the internal colonial model is that the relationship between members of the core communities and the peripheral communities in a state are characterized by exploitation. In relation to India, most of the studies in the area of region and regionalism are carried out in the discipline of political science, economics and geography. Economics have studied region from the perspective of development and regional disparities. The studies in geography focus on rethinking regional development, gender aspects of spaces and region, or identifying regional patterns of fertility and sex ratios, or even migration and marriage. Political scientists, on the other hand, have focused on various aspects of region and regionalism, like causes of the rise of regionalism and its movement. For instance, we have movement for a separate state of Telangana and the Karnataka movement. Alam studies the dimensions of state autonomy movements in India. Studies on ethnic movement as part of regionalism, Dubey's work, and development of regions, Prakash's work, are also carried out. Regionalism in specific states of Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Punjab, especially communal dimensions of regionalism, causes obstacles for nationalism in the northeast India. Politics of regionalism in Northeast India are also studied. Scholars like Brass and Khan have viewed regionalism in terms of federalism and center-state relations. Regionalism in India, a brief background. Contemporary India is witnessing various movements centered on identity issues. These movements are fought on the lines of region, religion, language, caste and community. These struggles have found expressions in the changed mode of electoral representation that has brought the local, regional into focus, with the hitherto politically dormant groups and regions finding voices. A more genuinely representative democracy has led to the sharpening of the line of distinction between or among the identity groups and regions. The federal system in India confers more power to the center than to the state. As a result, there are various tensions in various regions of India which are different from the other parts of India in terms of culture, language and many other factors. Regionalism in India is rooted in India's manifold diversity of languages, cultures, tribe communities, religions and so on, and encouraged by the regional concentration of those identity markers and fueled by a sense of regional deprivation. However, the center-state relations stand as a root cause of regionalism in India. Regionalism in India has remained a powerful force in the post-independence politics in India. It has its roots in the history and geography, and India is a land of diverse culture, language, tribes and communities and religions. These are also concentrated in certain parts of India, such as the identity markers are concentrated in certain regions. Post-independence linguistic reorganization of the states could not contain all the sub-regions. In spite of carving states on the basis of language, there remain certain sub-regions which have different cultures or languages. This has led to the demand of separate statehoods. These have often taken the form of countrywide agitations and campaigns. Secessionist movements rose in Punjab, Kashmir, Manipur, Tripura and Nagaland, and movements for autonomy rose in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Uttaranchal and Gorkhaland. Thus, keeping in mind India's rich linguistic and regional diversity, some of the marginalized groups have been ignored by the state in the past. They have remained outside the purview of the state's development paradigm. To overcome this inequality and to prevent political instability, past governments have granted special status and provisions to particular ethnic groups such as religious and cultural rights to minorities, protective discrimination for marginal groups and grant of autonomous administrative units. This has, however, led to increased use of identity as a basis of making demands and obtaining entitlements from the state. As a result, the heightened competition between identity groups has further politicized the issue of identity. For instance, the movements for the creation of separate Gorkha land in West Bengal, demanding a bifurcation of West Bengal into a Nepali-speaking Gorkha land and Bengali-speaking West Bengal, and of a separate Bodo land in Assam are purely based on the issue of identity. The Gorkhas and the Bodos demanded autonomous states of their own based on their identities, which were treated as inferior to the dominant Bengali and Assamese identities in West Bengal and Assam respectively. To take another instance of identity-based collective mobilizations in India, the movement for an independent Kashmir gained momentum in the 1990s. In response to electoral malpractices, neglect of people's opinion, removal of special status granted to Jammu and Kashmir, low level of socio-economic development, high levels of unemployment, political interference by the central government and so on. The Naga insurgency came to an end after the central government accepted the demand of the Nagas for a separate state to be carved out of 3 districts of Assam, where the majority was a Naga-speaking community. So, in 1962, the new state of Nagaland was formed. Similarly, Meghalaya, Manipur and Tripura were created in the 1970s to meet people's aspiration for the self-rule based on the distinct identity, argues Vinod. Thus, regionalism in India is manifested in 4 ways: demand of the people of certain areas for secession from the Indian Union, demand of the people of certain areas for separate statehood, demand of the people of certain union territories for full-fledged statehood, and demand of certain people for favorable settlement in interstate disputes. Causes of the rise of regionalism in India. Let us briefly see the causes of the rise of regionalism in India. Firstly, regionalism develops as certain regions feel neglected, real or imagined, by the ruling parties. In this, the concentration of power in the hands of a few in a state may also lead to the demand for a separate state. The demand of a separate state of Vidarbha in Maharashtra is an example of this. People in Vidarbha feel neglected as though there are many dams in Maharashtra, yet the region of Vidarbha faces drought almost every year. Most farmers commit suicides there every year, and people from other parts of Maharashtra who are politically more powerful are successful in grabbing resources for the regions in Maharashtra. Many a times regionalism is seen in the form of interstate disputes largely over sharing of mineral resources and river water. For example, as seen in the case of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. India has a very large geographical area. As a result, many a times the national government imposes certain types of culture, language and identity on the people. Certain regions do feel this as an imposition. Regionalism develops in these regions so that they themselves can develop their own culture and language. Uttaranchal and Jharkhand are cases in this point. For instance, the people from South India think that to have Hindi as a national language is an imposition on them from the people of the North. There is discontent among the people of South India regarding this matter. The various development programs carried out in certain regions of India make regional disparities more acute. This leads to a sense of deprivation among the people of certain regions. This, coupled with increased politicization in the community, is sure to impart sharper focus to regionalism, which would emerge more prominently as a factor of significance in Indian polity. Some regions in India, especially the Northeast, have been demanding autonomy from India on the basis that Indian government has been giving them stepmotherly treatment. The problems of the Northeast region are particularly acute as they never felt belonging to India. This was because of various reasons like they were poorly connected to the other parts of India, the history, the culture was not adequately represented, they are ethnically, linguistically and culturally very distinct from other states. They are territorially organized in such a manner that ethnic and cultural specificities were ignored during the process of delineation of state boundaries in the 1950s and many other such reasons. As a result, the Northeast region of India is simmering with various ethnic conflicts and secessionist movements such as seen in the case of Nagaland. Regionalism is an ideology that is manufactured by the elite belonging to the groups. To legitimize the power and domination by using an instrument of regional ideology, they emphasize the differences between the different groups. A distinction between we and they, between the regional outsiders and the sons of the soil is brought to the surface by them, transforming the latent emotions lying behind such phenomena into a regional or sub-regional ideology to serve certain political end. It is a conflict between regional elites and the national elites. Many a times the regional elites have desired to have more power in the region. Political parties like DMK, Telugu Desam Party and Akali Dal and others have encouraged regionalism to gain more and more power in the region. Case study, Northeast region. Northeast India is the easternmost region of India comprising the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura and Sikkim. The region is connected to India through a 30-kilometer long corridor between Bhutan and Bangladesh. It shares its borders with 5 countries. The geographical size of Northeast is about 8% of the total size of India. According to 2011 census, its population is 3.1% of the total Indian population. The region consists of more than 220 linguistic and ethnic groups. There are diverse in terms of ethnic origins, language and religious pluralism. According to Burman, taking an overall view, it can be stated that Northeast India is a mosaic of societies characterized by diversities of racial stock, tradition of origin, social organization, languages and dialects, religion, economic pursuits, technology and patterns of resource mobilization, productive relations and participation in the political process. These states are grouped under the Ministry of Development of Northeast Region of Government of India. This ministry is responsible for matters relating to the planning, execution and monitoring of development schemes and projects in the Northeast region. Its vision is to accelerate the pace of the socio-economic development of the region so that it may enjoy growth parity with the rest of the country. The emergence of British India and the international political boundaries drawn during the colonial rule provided the foundation for post-colonial political order of nation states. The partition of 1947 and the state of diplomatic relations between India and its neighbors turned India into a sensitive border region requiring special attention based on national security concerns. For the northeast part of India, having international border with Bhutan, China, Myanmar and Bangladesh, this condition has not been conducive to the region's socio-economic, political and emotional integration with center state and mainland India, argues Borua, Bhomik and Pachau. This was further hampered by the Northeast Areas Reorganization Act of 1971 and Amendment of 2012, wherein the once British India region or provinces, namely Assam and the princely states of Manipur and Tripura, began to attain full-fledged statehood on linguistic lines. Nagaland attained statehood in 1963, Meghalaya in 1972, Manipur 1972, Tripura also in 1972 and Arunachal Pradesh in 1987 and also Mizoram. Sikkim got statehood in 2002. Furthermore, geopolitical governance pressure was built upon due to globalization implemented by a new phenomenon of deterritorialization and reterritorialization, especially within the indigenous tribal inhabited areas, argue Baral, Appadurai, Castles, Srinivas and Bose. Since the inception of India as a sovereign state from the British imperial power, geographical and cultural differences between landlocked northeast and mainland India have potentially become a complex phenomena which underpins the questions of identity and national imagination of nation states, argues Tambia. The rise of ethnic assertions in the form of ethnic extremism or secessionist movements in the northeast are mainly due to the desperate attempt by the ethnic groups to preserve their socio-cultural and linguistic identity from the mainstream cultures, argues Dena and Barua. Also, it is the minority or indigenous tribal groups who suffer the most for the sake of national development. With no written history of their own, the indigenous people's past can be obliterated overnight, such as by the construction of dams in the indigenous, tribal and inhabited regions. Such is the case with the northeast, where developmental processes often fail to address the legitimate concern of these minorities. This further broadens a feeling of alienation among people. Since independence, every decade there has been some or the other violent movements in the region. Insurgency, an extreme form of ethno-political upsurge, has rocked 5 of the 7 states at one time or the other, and the remaining 2 states are highly poised for the similar movement. Today, the term Northeast has become synonymous to ethno-political movements. The region is dominated by tribal people, and the national mainstream have always stereotyped tribals as primitive, backward, superstitious and ignorant. These notions of the mainstream nationals are completely opposite to the shared understanding of the tribals of the Northeast of themselves. As a result, pride is exhibited in the ethno-national feeling. Their fear of losing their identity was a major factor that led to ethno-political movements of insurgency. In tracing the historical development of insurgency in Nagaland, Osono Yuno attributes the people's unpleasant experiences of interaction with the non-tribals to be one of the main causes of the revolution. Throughout India, time and again, there have been instances of people of the Northeast having faced discrimination. There are certain cities where they face problems to get accommodation, and the local people, including the police, exploit them. There are many who still think that they are losing their jobs and employment opportunities to the migrants and blame them for all the social evils prevailing in their societies. In 2012, after the Assam rise, thousands of northeastern people from all over India returned to their home state as they were targets of violence. Thousands, even from metropolitan cities like Pune, Bangalore and Chennai, went back home. Therefore, we should not place an acute conceptual narrative to the disintegration of indigenous tribes from the northeast within the identity scholarship. Conclusion: one cannot put an end to the cause of integrating a small set of people, a speck of that important particle, having distinct history and social trajectory, which inversely defines ethnic as well as national boundaries. Therefore, locating historical and cultural specificities of small communities from the northeast becomes an important criterion for the nation formation, the negotiation of cultural identity within the framework of a diverse nation such as that of India. In doing this module in terms of regionalism and especially the challenges of regionalism to national integration of India, what we discussed was initially the concept of region and regionalism. And we understood that region is not a static concept but a process between humans and their interactions with environment, especially geographical space. It also discussed the historical background of regionalism and explained its causes. And while trying to understand the Northeast India, We also try to understand that the identity movements of Northeast India has very much in connection to do with what the mainland India perceives and conceives of the people from the Northeast. Thank you.